Hi everybody. I just wanted to share 3 tips with all of you pertaining to the jazz rhythm section and things that you can pay attention to help you become a better jazz musician, whether you're a rhythm section player or if you're a horn player or some other type of performer. You want to better understand the jazz rhythm section so that you can communicate with them if you're running rehearsal or if you're running your own recording session. The jazz rhythm section is a very fascinating entity, and it is really the band in the band. The rhythm section is constantly playing in most situations, especially in a large ensemble jazz situation. So it's vital that the jazz rhythm section be functioning properly. And so I'm going to give you these very important 3 tips that I want you to think about, and I hope that they'll help you grow in your jazz journey. The first tip is to remember that the jazz rhythm section is constantly improvising. It's really easy in a large ensemble situation, especially when a piece of music is put in front of us, to lose sight of the fact that we are still improvising. Improvisation is the most beautiful element of jazz music, no matter what instrument you're playing. But especially to rhythm section players, you need to remember that you are constantly improvising. To do a good job improvising, that means you need to be constantly aware of your surroundings, constantly aware of your fellow musicians, and always asking yourself, what can I play right now in this musical moment that will help my fellow musicians sound better? Because being a good musician and being a good jazz rhythm section player really means you're a good servant to your fellow man and woman. You are really trying to always support everyone, always make everyone sound better. If you focus in your improvisational decisions on things that will make everyone more comfortable, you will sound like a better musician. So, tip number 1, do not forget that jazz rhythm sections are constantly improvising, even though you're looking at sheet music. Now we're going to move on to tip number 2, and that is to remember that the chart, the sheet music, does not have all the answers. Maybe that's a little confusing. What do you mean the sheet music doesn't have all the answers to it? That's exactly what I mean, especially with the jazz rhythm section. Many times, whether you're playing piano, guitar, bass, or drums, you'll just be given slash notation and maybe some chord symbols and maybe some rhythmic hits along with them. It's up to each individual rhythm section player to look at the information on the page and pair that information with what you're hearing in that musical moment, what you're hearing happening around you, not only inside the rhythm section, but in the rest of the ensemble, and to consider what you've listened to in your studying of jazz music. Jazz is an oral tradition, and it is vital, especially for rhythm section players, that you spend a lot of time listening to great rhythm section players, not only on your instrument, but rhythm sections that function really wonderfully as a unit. Have you listened to the All-American Rhythm section of Count Basie's first band, featuring Count Basie on piano, Walter Page on bass, Joe Jones on drums, and Freddie Green on guitar? Have you heard Miles Davis's classic quintet with Red Garland on piano from Fort Worth, Texas originally, great Paul Chambers on bass, Philly Joe Jones on drums? Have you listened to John Coltrane's classic quartet with a rhythm section comprised of McCoy Tyner on piano, Jimmy Garrison on bass, and Elvin Jones on drums? Do you have an idea in your mind of what they sound like? Have you tried playing along with them? Have you tried emulating that sound? Because imitation and emulation is exactly how all jazz musicians learn to become a better player. And you need that information in your mind and on your heart so that it will come out of you when you're performing, so that when you're looking at a piece of sheet music for a large ensemble jazz situation or a small jazz ensemble situation, you can use the information on the page coupled with your knowledge through listening and playing along with important recordings in the history of jazz music, and then listening to your surroundings to make good decisions. So, tip number 2, just to review, is that the chart does not contain all the answers. A lot of the answers need to come from you and the work that you do ahead of time. All right, this is going to bring us to tip number 3, and that is that these bad boys, your ears, are your greatest asset in becoming a better jazz rhythm section player or becoming a better jazz musician in any regard. And what does that mean? Well, You have to exercise your listening constantly because we want to use that skill when we're actively playing with others. And as we've already talked about in the rhythm section, you're constantly playing and improvising, making decisions, taking in information, making a decision based on what you're hearing, and making a musical choice on your instrument. So you have to exercise these listening abilities. The greatest way to do that is listening to important jazz recordings, as I've said on tip number 2, and then really practicing mindfulness and awareness when you're playing. And try little games with yourself when you're in rehearsal. Say, okay, when we play the song this time, let's pretend I'm playing drums since I'm a drummer. I'm going to try to focus just on the bassist the entire chart. And then the next time through, I'm going to see if I can just listen to the lead trumpet player whenever he's playing. Can I hear the baritone saxophone? Can I hear the piano? Can I hear the guitar? Can I hear everything? And cultivate this ability to zoom in and zoom out with your listening on different instruments. You can practice this on great classic jazz recordings. Get an album that you know really well, pick a song that you know like the back of your hand already, and try these little listening activities. Try to play along with it, and then say, can I hear the bass the whole time? Can I hear the drummer's hi-hat only? Can I hear the guitarist comping in a Freddie Green style? Try these different assignments for your ears, and your hearing will grow stronger and more precise. Just like a muscle will, if you exercise it with weights every single day, it will become stronger. And if you do not exercise, it will become weaker, it will atrophy. Our ability to listen with discernment and precision is something we must exercise constantly, daily, as much as possible, because we're going to actively use that when we're performing. So just remember, tip number 3, your listening is your greatest asset in becoming a good jazz rhythm section player. Well, I hope that these tips have given all of you something to think about and have also helped encourage you and inspire you to take those next steps forward into becoming a good jazz musician. Jazz is my most favorite music. I love it so much. I've been listening to it, studying it, practicing it, and wanting to be good at it for 30 years now, which is crazy. And I can tell you that it only gets better. The more you listen to this beautiful American music, the more you study the rich history of it, the diverse people who created it, usually amongst terrible situations of discrimination. When you learn this music and the stories of these beautiful people who made it, it will inspire you and reward you mightily. And so I hope that all of you got something out of my 3 tips here, and especially you jazz rhythm section players. I hope this will encourage you, uplift you, and I can't wait to hear every single one of you play. And I can't wait to play with you one day. I hope I get to share the bandstand and recording studio with you. I wish you all the very best. If you want to find out more about the things that I do in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and beyond, I just want to remind you that you can check out my information at my website, www.stocktonhelbing.com, or you can go to www.helbingjazzinitiative.com. Both places are on the web for you to find what we're up to, where we'll be doing presentations, as well as you can find us on all the typical social media outlets like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and not TikTok because I'm old and I don't know how to use it, and I think it's going to get shut down, is what I read, but enjoy it while it lasts. But hey, I hope you'll stay in touch. I hope you have a wonderful start to the semester coming up. Even though I know it'll be a little strange, we're going to get through this, and we have lots of beautiful music to play together in the near future. You guys all take care, and I'll see you next time.